Hey y'all, I'm
Powered by
Kimberly,
Riverside
and
FM.
this is the Frolicking Truth, a soft space for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal. Here, joy meets justice. We calm our Black ass nervous systems, we unmask, and we leave behind whatever that is trying to kill us. You're seen here, you're safe here, and you don't have to do this alone.
Hey y'all. I be like so excited and so it's a lot that I want to talk about and my brain people are actually awake today. Anyway, hey y'all, come on in, find a comfortable spot, take a seat. I am really excited to have you here today for episode 4 of the Frolicking Truth podcast for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal, where joy meets justice and our nervous systems gets free. It does not mean that if you don't identify with any of those descriptors that you're not welcome here. It just means that when you come ready to listen, come ready to learn, and ready to support the work that is being done here. So, my name is Kimberland. I know I say it in the recording, so I think that's why I didn't say it again. I was watching my old episodes and I was like, girl, introduce yourself. These people don't really know who you are. Because a lot of times I be talking like I've already shared things in this community and this is kind of a different and new community, so I need to be intentional with that. So anyway, hey, my name is Kim Berlin, and I'm excited to be here. I'm just excited. I have a lot that I want to share. So I want to kick us off. I want to get started with the auntie check-in. And the auntie check-in is like the weekly touch base moments, like where we at with stuff, laugh a little, cry a little, but just maybe it's something that you be like, girl, me too. Okay. So we know that we're not alone with stuff. So I give like personal updates and maybe things that I've learned this week or what have you. So, sure. I am moving. I mentioned that last week and I told y'all about the space and all of that. So I am moving on Friday. Today is Wednesday. Okay. So I'm moving on Friday and the checklist is like a million things long, but also very doable, but also like need all brain powers to unite to be able to make it happen. And so I was I'm still kind of deciding. I just talked to the owner a moment ago and she was like, oh, my daughter can come and get you because the place is a little hard to find. So I was like, I was going to use the drivers that she had recommended, but they don't have very big cars. They don't have very big cars here in Medellin. A lot of the cars are like very efficient type cars. So the guy who had come and got me last time, he had a very small car. I have 3 suitcases and a backpack, and I'm going to have some other miscellaneous items with me. So it'll be maybe, I don't know, and food that I've had here that, I might as well just take it there with me because I wasn't able to eat it all. So I'm going to have some things, and I need to be able to have the space to be able to put the things because I only want to do one trip. So I had asked the owner, like, do you have somebody with a larger car? And she was like, oh, I think so and so does. So I called him, but they have this thing called pico y placa here. And it means 1 day a week that you cannot drive your car. So everybody here has to either use the metro or they have to get a taxi or ride a bike or whatever. But they have to have an alternative means to get to work. They do it in order to help with traffic and pollution and all of that. So anyway, his Pico y Placa day is on Friday. So he couldn't come and get me if he wanted to. So anyway, so she offered for her daughter to come, but she was like, but this is the catch. Is I would have to get there at like 9 or 9:30 because she needs the car to go to see a patient in the late morning, like around 11. I was planning on trying to leave at like 1. But I'm not a morning person. I be trying to get myself together in the morning. So now I kind of have this dilemma because on one side, I'm totally okay with her daughter coming to get me, but I would have to get cash to be able to give it to her, and that tightens the timeline. Then on the other side, people will have to explain. I'll have to call them and be like, explain how I get in there to tell the Uber driver to get in there, because and also I don't know what kind of car the Uber driver is going to have. Like, so I booked a Uber Comfort, which usually has bigger cars, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's like a SUV or anything. So it could be like the difference between I was about to say a smart car, but they're not that small. But like, let's say a Hyundai Accent versus an Elantra versus a Sonata. Like they could be, I don't know, what size the car would be. So I'm kind of still taking a gamble with the comfort. So I have to like weigh all of that out in my brain, right? So that's like kind of the biggest thing that is happening right now. And it's really sending my brain in all sorts of directions, which is a lot. Also, my cycle is down right now. It's late. It was supposed to already be here and over by this time. And now it's spilling into this time. And like, oh my God, Jesus, why? So I also have cramps and, just trying to help myself and get myself together because I don't want to have to deal with that. But here we are. So that's also like making me sluggish, and that also causes some brain fog. So like I'm just trying to get it together, and figure out the things. I have packed ish a lot of my stuff. The packing part of it, I'm not going to be able to do it until Thursday evening, which is like packing up my computer and like all that kind of stuff because I need it. I have a Thursday is tomorrow, and I have a podcast interview tomorrow afternoon. So, the rest of the stuff, the biggest thing that I did, y'all, is went through my mail. Okay. When I tell you I had mail that dated back to 2023 that I had not opened, because this is the thing. I had my mental health crisis in 2023. Hey, I ain't got it. Whatever you asking me for, I don't have it. Okay. Now I done told y'all this. I done reached out and tried to make arrangements and try to make things right. And also I got to heal my brain. So I had just been carrying this mail from like one place to the next. Bianca had brought me some additional mail. I don't want to have mail. That's the first thing. Stop mailing me. How do I make that stop? Huh? But like, why y'all keep sending me mails? Stop. Just leave me alone. But anyway, so Bianca had brought some mail. And I was like, girl, you cannot have 2025 mail and 2023 mail. But sis, we got to catch up. So I was in here being the human shredder. What's today? Today is Wednesday. So this might have been like Sunday. I think this was like Sunday, Saturday and Sunday maybe. And I'm talking, I went through all that mail. I'm so proud of myself. I got down to a 9 by 12 envelope where everything fits in there. And some of the stuff is stuff that I just need to have with me for different documentations. But I got through that mail, baby. Okay, that was the biggest thing that was probably weighing on my brain. I already packed up my dresses, and today I'm gonna like be like, this is what I'm wearing. Basically tomorrow, that's gonna be the only other thing. And then what I wear Friday morning to go ahead and move. So I have two outfits that I have to plan out. The other thing is making sure that things are washed. So I'm like, okay, and not that there is a washer there at a washer and a dryer at the new place, but I don't want to have to go there and be doing work. Like I want to be able to be like, okay, everything is fresh, everything is set. I can set up and sit down, is what I want to have happen. So it's a lot of logistical stuff. And remember, I have both CDs. So I'm like, I already washed the rugs that I had in my room. So now in my room, I'm just using my slippers, but I need to wash these slippers as well. So it's like, is that kind of calculating as well as like, how do I back out of the situation, without also triggering myself? Because even I have these lights, and the lights are part of my calming system. So I don't want to rip those down right now. Like I need them. So I'm kind of like trying to balance that and not send my nervous system into complete shock. So anyway, I'm doing these things strategically. Okay. Now, this is what I really wanted to talk about because I needed to give that update, but also this is what I really want to talk about for this segment because um I am so grateful that I found the right medicine because the last medicine that I was using, it was not helping me very much at all. And I felt like I was like fighting to do everything. And the medication that I have now, my brain people, I feel them wake up. I feel them walk into the office. I feel them be like, all right, sis, we ready, creating and like all that kind of stuff. And the thing that I am realizing in all of this is what's a couple things. One is the power of plant medicine. Okay. And the second thing is them people was lying to us. Them people was lying to us. And that is like a theme through all of this. The title of this episode is Who Told You That That Was Witchcraft? That's the title of this episode, but this is where I'm gonna kick it off with. So, when I was in school, I've talked about this so many times. When I was in school, I was very much a rule follower and I was taught to just accept things without asking questions. And I am realizing how detrimental that was, especially because I am a naturally curious questioner. That there were lots of internal questions that I had that were not getting answered. And now I'm like in the process of answering those questions for myself, processing that people tell you things because that's what they want you to believe, not because it's the truth, that everything that is in a book is not necessarily real and not necessarily factual and not necessarily the truth. I'm processing that and I am unpacking that and intersecting that with the United States and the level of propaganda that we have all been subjected to, and like just really trying to understand things and how the government behind the scenes has been orchestrating harm, for lack of a better way to put it. Okay. So I'm going to get more into that in a second. But right now, what I'm finna say, I have a confession, I think is what I need to say because there's like, I need to get this off my chest. Okay. I use plant medicine and I did not understand what plant medicine was until probably COVID. Well, COVID was my first experience. So when I'm saying plant medicine, I'm specifically talking about different types of herbs, but also like teas and like, so whatever goes into that category. So I never really had experiences with any type of plant medicines prior to COVID. And then I learned, for instance, we can talk cannabis for a moment. So I learned about the difference between indica and sativa and how they feel differently, and how plant medicine can be consumed through tinctures and infused oils, and like just so many different ways to be able to utilize the medicinal benefits of these plants. So, probably when I got to Mexico, I think I started to become much more intentional with paying attention to the medicinal properties and paying attention to how things were feeling and like keeping a journal so that I could understand the impact that things were having on me. So it's a lot. Like it's a science, which is right up my alley, but also it's a science. I'll fast forward through, I've figured it out, like that it's medicinal and how to use it and in the different ways, again, teas, tinctures, oils, what have you. Last month, I was using a strain that I was not familiar with. And even remember when I looked up the medicinal properties, I was like, I mean, it's going to be all right. I don't know if it's really going to give, but here we are. And it lived up to that. Unfortunately, I don't recall the name of it, but it just wasn't helping my brain. And I was really, really struggling. Like I was functional ish, but not at all in ways that I thought that I could function before. And it was interesting because it was doing kind of like a little like Jedi mind trick. I ain't never seen Star Wars, so I don't even know if that's applicable. But it was doing like a little, it was messing with my mind because it was making me think maybe I'm not getting better. Like maybe I'm not okay. Like I don't know, like what's going on here, because things just felt harder. Like it just felt harder to wake up. It felt harder to get going. It felt harder to create. Just things were just feeling really, really difficult. And I wasn't making the connection that it was the medicine. So fast forward, I was able to get a strain that I am familiar with that I had used before. And when I tell you, I immediately felt the difference in my brain. I immediately felt my brain people be like, all right, we going into the office. Let's get it popping. What we got going on today? Creative ideas and clarity. And this particular strain, the medicinal effects. So I have an app that I use to look up the different effects to ensure that I'm using the correct medicine, because again, this is a science and there are medicinal impacts. Okay, so this particular strain, one, it said it was energizing, and I was like, I need that. And then it said its top effect is creative. So then I was like, yep, I need that too. So the top effect is creative, euphoric, and uplifted. 37% of people report helping with stress, 31% report helping with anxiety, and 28% report helping with depression. So, this particular strain for me is one that makes me feel like a whole new person. It makes me feel like myself, right? So in my neurodivergence and trying to line everything up and get everything organized and, all these different departments needing to do what they need to do, I don't have time for my brain to not be working. So I'm glad that I found that out, and now I can be really, really, really intentional about making sure that I always have access so that I am able to function. So the confession part of all of this is that I used to be the biggest say no to drugs girly out here. I remember being in middle school and my friends used to consume marijuana, and I was very much like, I need my brain cells. I'm not doing that. And this was very much recreational use, right? This was not with any type of medicinal intent. But I would like held fast to that. I'm talking even my ex. I remember finding out that he was using plant medicine, and I can't even say it was plant medicine because it wasn't medicinal. It was recreational. So I just remember being like, what are you doing? What? I will not, and I used to be super judgmental and shit. And it wasn't until COVID that when we were locked in the house and didn't have nowhere to go and I ain't have no job, that I allowed my brain to, and my spirit, my mind to be open that there may be something to this. Because I had also been watching different like documentaries and Vice specials, and by this time I had seen Ozark and started watching Snowfall and started watching Power. And I bring that up because the government has been involved in determining what is considered a drug and what is not, right? So I had already started like looking that stuff up, and pure curiosity, honestly. And at that point, I was like, I'm grown. Like, it's different when I was 12. Like, I'm grown. Okay. So I remember that's where I learned like about this particular type made me feel like this, and this particular type made me feel like that. I do like this, I don't like that. Then it just kind of progressed from there. So it's been really interesting because I remember I had gotten put back on my medication in October of 2023. And when I'm saying got put back on, let me be specific. I got put back on prescription medication, antidepressant, anti-anxiety in October of 2023 after my mental health crisis. I said I was going to give myself a year to be on that medication before I found another way. So in October of 2024, I started that process of weaning myself off the medication, prescription medication. So in this process of figuring out what strain that I want to use for plant-based medicine, I've really been like understanding this is medicine for real. Like the way my thing with prescription medication is that I, one, don't trust that things are appropriately regulated at all. Now that I know what I know, I'm like, I don't trust that. And because I have access to an alternative means, I'm going to take that. And also, I remember when I got put back on my medication, I couldn't feel. And I was making TikToks at that time, like just trying to process it. I didn't know where to go because I'm on TikTok, but I'm not really on TikTok. Like I have stuff over there, but also I don't really be over there. So it's a lot. It's a lot to have all these different platforms. But anyway, TikTok is the place where I decided to talk about that. And I was talking about like I was feeling numb. I'm like, I just feel so numb. I can't feel. And I had just learned how to feel. So it felt weird that now I can't feel. So I don't like that feeling. I don't like that feeling of not being able to feel. I don't like the feeling of feeling numb and detached because those feelings are very much associated with how I had to be in dangerous environments when I was in the US and education and advocacy work and all of that. And I don't like how that feels. So it really has made me get super intentional about thinking about different ways to be able to manage what is happening in my brain and also to become more brain friendly because I put a lot of undue pressure on my brain because I'm trying or was trying to fit into these systems that I was never meant to fit into that do not operate on behalf of definitely not neurodivergent people, but really on the behalf of anybody except for the people who are profiting off of it. So a part of the divestment, if you will, and a part of the decolonization is saying, how else can I support myself and help myself without supporting that? Because I don't support that. So I was so happy to feel the effects of this new strain because I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was crazy. And I thought like something was wrong with me and I wasn't getting better and like all of that. I just didn't feel as well as I had been feeling. And you know, last week the title was I'm Not Crazy, I'm Called. And this whole time I'm like thinking to myself, am I crazy though? Like, what is happening? So, I want to get into the truth is segment because it directly aligns with this. So, this week's episode is called Who Told You That Was Witchcraft? I want to like take you down a train of situations that I have experienced in the over the past few days that has brought me here combined with some situations that have happened up to this point. So, one of my favorite content creators, his name is Kev on Stage, and he is recording today and streaming today. So, they record a podcast called I Saw This on the Internet. It's one of my favorite things because it's all day long. So it gives me entertainment all day. And they have the most fascinating conversations. They watch this video, and I want to show this video. So this is a wedding, okay? And this is what is happening at the wedding. It says POV, God showed up at your wedding. So this is what I want you to know. Okay, I'm gonna just play it one more time here in the background. First of all, I don't want a wedding, but if I did want a wedding and this happened, hey, don't bring that foolishness up in here. Do not do it. Okay? Because this is the thing that I need you to know. There's so much theatrics that be going into these church productions. I have talked about my copious experiences with church and pastors. And I've told y'all my ex, who was abusive, was somebody that was in the church and minister of music and like all of this and whatever, right? These are theatrics. at tricks. I don't know this particular couple, so I can't say whether they felt like this was authentic to who they are. What I will say is I went back on the TikTok page and I saw they got like 10 million views and they had made a video and they were like, oh, praise the Lord. We got so many views. This is the thing. This is the thing. This is the thing. And if you will allow me to just go to the places for today, because these are the conversations that we be needing to have that we don't be having. So the reason why I always talk about how I was when I was younger and why I didn't ask questions, even though I had a lot of questions, but I never really asked questions because that would get you in trouble. And I was just taught to just do what I was told and just don't ask questions. The level of understanding that I have, if y'all could receive this auntie wisdom for a moment, the level of understanding that I have now about the way that colonization and white fear has led the way that we, specifically as Black people in the US, have received who God is and what it means to live a righteous life and all of that. It is so deeply, deeply ingrained in every part of the way that God is given to us, and that's not God. And I need us, this is why I be going so hard for people to have their own personal relationship with God, because the God that was given to us in these contexts is this like you going to hell God, like this judgment God, this like God that is not who God actually is, right? Every time I say this, I had a pastor one time when I was leaving this church. Again, I don't know where I talked about this at. I need to do a better job of keeping up with where I be talking about stuff. But I was leaving this church and it was right when I had gotten called into entertainment. So I had signed up to for acting and modeling training and hosting and like all that kind of stuff. And I told the pastor that I was leaving the church, that God had told me that it was time for me to go away and do something else. And by this time, I already understood. So, our last episode, I was talking about our calling. So, I already understood that I had this apostolic calling and to be called as an apostle or a dream awakener, your job as an apostle is to go and establish. You go into places. So back in biblical days, apostles would go and build churches, get the church up and running, and then they would move on to the next place. And they would do that. That's the job of an apostle, to go and establish, right? So I had already by this time had this understanding that that was my job. And I'm not supposed to stay in places for a long amount of time because that is not my role. I am not called to be there and to just be there and do the work and be there doing things. I am called to help people establish their dreams, set up the systems that need to be in place, make sure they mental good to go, and then I move on to the next place. So I had this understanding by this time. So I'm telling the pastor that leave the church or whatever, and she was like, God don't want you in the wilderness. And I was like, girl, who finna be in the wilderness? I know God. Like, what are you talking about right now? But that was control and manipulation, right? Because the institution of church and religion relies on blind following. So the moment that you get a revelation for yourself, now you're in the wilderness. So as I'm out here, the reason I brought that up is because as I'm talking about this and being like, that is not God. This is what they would consider the wilderness, that I'm out here in the wilderness, literally and figuratively, right? Though I'm not. As I have been going through this decolonization process and religiosity and just like deprogramming myself from all these things that were told to me that was in line with somebody else's agenda, but not in line with what God called me to do on this earth. I have been becoming more and more vocal about these things because we don't be talking about this stuff, and it's important for us to talk about this. So when I see videos like the one I just showed, it frustrates me because a lot of that is performance. It's performance. And I've seen it. I have seen it. And these pastors are not ensuring that people have that personal relationship with God. Because this is the thing. I told you I know the Bible, right? Was in Christian school from 3 years old. Okay. First of all, God says in the Bible, test me and I will show you. The Bible is filled with people who ask God questions and asked about, how, like, why, what are you doing? Where are you? Like, all of these questions are there. But we were taught not to ask questions, just blindly believe and just blindly think. The other thing, a lot of these pastors don't even be having no credentials. They ain't going to school. They don't understand the historical context. They don't understand what was happening at the time. They don't understand who these verses were directed to. And also, they not doing it their own self. They're hypocrites. So they're standing in pulpits pointing at people, telling people that they're going to hell while you sitting here doing the same or worse. What? So that never jived with me. So when I saw that video, I just got so frustrated because it made me like go down this rabbit hole. And the reason why I called this Who Told You That Was Witchcraft is specifically around things like sage, incense, crystals. So what happened while I was watching the podcast, they was talking about somebody and it was like, oh, she a witch now. And then it was like, well, like a witch? Well, no, not like a witch, but like, and then I was like, what even is a witch? Because I have heard in churches that if you do yoga, that you're a witch. If you have crystals, that you're a witch. And it takes me back to the Salem witch trials. So shout out to me that I was Tituba in the Crucible. But that play is all about the Salem witch trials and just calling people witches just to say that they're witches because you know that it'll take the heat off of you, or because you feel like you want to take them out of here. You got some type of vendetta. Like, there are so many reasons for why things have been demonized as witchcraft, especially when we're talking about our cultural practices. So when I say our, I'm talking about Black people, indigenous people, people that are connected to Africa, people that are connected to the indigenous lands. When white people came into these areas, they took our cultural practices and told us that those were demonic. And then they replaced them with their own cultural practices, which were actually demonic. Does the Bible not say, have no idols? Why are Catholics idolizing Mary? The whole reason that Jesus died was so that we could go directly to God. That was the whole point. Because the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who were the religious people, were out here doing ungodly things, not honoring the law, stealing from people, abusing the poor, all of that. But those are the people that the common people had to go to and through to be able to gain access to God. God said, bet on that. Jesus said, bet on that. I'm going to go down there, okay? Get stuff together. I'm going to take on all the sins. And then that way, they could just come straight to you. Why, if Jesus died for me to go straight to God, do I need to talk to Mary before I go talk to God? That's not how that works. That defeats the whole. What are we doing? What are you talking about? Then in churches, the pastor becomes the idol. Instead of pastors standing in pulpits talking about how they walk in this walk just like us, how they should be encouraging us to have these personal relationships with God and getting to understand God for ourselves and whatever that looks like. And I'm saying God, you might say universe, you might say spirit, you might say the divine, you might say the creator. I don't care. I don't care. It's all the same. So pastors are putting themselves in these places where they're the ones who are so righteous and they're the ones who know all these things. And a lot of them don't be knowing what they talking about. I got former pastors that got fake doctorates, child. They done went down there to these fake universities and really standing on stages calling themselves Dr. So-and-so. What is happening here? It's a lot of personal agendas that are happening, and God is not to be gatekept. Yet God has been. So colonization stuffed God into this box of this is the only way that you're able to get to God. Meanwhile, our ancestors who, like, white people did not give us God. Our ancestors knew God before white people came along. It was in their best interest to call African people and indigenous people savages, because then that gave them the plausible reason to be able to come and commit genocides. But we knew God. We were not godless people. We knew God and have known God. So this is the thing that really did it for me. Okay, this is the thing that really did it for me. So when I had moved into my last apartment, and I have OCD, so I be struggling like to get myself together. And I said to myself one day, I said, I really need to just burn some sage. Now, by this time, I don't remember when I started being like, I was in Tampa. So maybe this was like 2017, 18, 19, somewhere around this time. But I started like researching herbs and things of that nature. So anyway, I said all that to say I had a practice by now of being like, okay, stop feeling funny. Let me go get some sage and get whatever out of here that needs to get out of here, right? So I had said that to myself. I was like, I need to sage the apartment. So I go and I light my sage and I'm starting to sage the apartment. Now, what am I saying while I'm doing this? Well, I'm praying. So I'm like, God, I need peace. I need a clear mind. I want this place to feel safe. I need this place to help my nervous system calm, to heal my brain. So I'm talking to God like the whole time, right? And I'm walking through the house, depending on where it was. Like when I was in the bathroom, I was like, I need this to be the sanctuary, Lord. This is where I want to meet you. Like, this is where I want to talk to you. That's why I talk to God in the shower. So I'm like, I want this to be a calm space because bathrooms are a trigger for me, right? So I'm saying all of that. When I was in the kitchen, I'm like, let me make good choices about the foods that I choose to purchase, the things that I put into my mouth, allow me to find love and being able to nourish my body, right? So I'm saying those things. When I'm on the balcony, I'm like, thank you for having a place to sit and access the sun, even though I might not be downstairs, and really outside. Thank you for this view. Like, this is what I'm doing while I'm doing the sage. So I had a moment and I said, how is this any different? I don't remember what was happening at the time, but I'm sure I had run across something that said, I'm about to put some holy oil on this doorpost when these kids come in here. I'm certain it has something to do with that. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. Now, how is holy oil different from sage? How is holy water different from holy oil, different from sage, different from, it's all a practice. It's all a spiritual practice. It's all something that you are doing in order to draw yourself closer to God. So why is this particular practice demonized while these others are said this is the only way that you're able to do this? So I started asking those questions. I had already started asking questions about crystals because I'm a scientist, right? So I know that everything is made up of matter, and matter consists of atoms, and atoms vibrate all the time. Whether it is a solid, a liquid, or a gas. Solids vibrate in a fixed place, liquids vibrate and they flow, and gases vibrate and they move all around everywhere. So, how are you going to tell me that this crystal, that is a thing that is made of atoms that are vibrating, does not have energy? And energy is not created or destroyed, it is transferred from one form to the next. So, you want me to believe that this thing that I know that is vibrating doesn't have energy, and that its energy cannot affect me? I feel energy all the time. I feel energy of people. I feel energy when I walk into spaces. I feel energy. So why wouldn't this also impact my energy? It doesn't even make sense. But then I realized also a lot of religious people don't believe in evolution. They reject science. Well, while I believe that science and God prove each other. So I started thinking about those things and deconstructing the things. So then I just come back to, who told you that that was witchcraft? Because we have to start asking ourselves questions about what was the intended outcome for this messaging. Once we start to understand the bigness of God, we realize that the God that we were given was so incredibly limited. So I want to invite us into the bigness of God. And I invite us to go back to our ancestors and those practices and ask ourselves about certain things that certain people do. This is why I started embracing this mantra, curiosity over judgment, because I told you I was a judger. Oh, I judged them good. You hear me? I was a great judger. of people. And also, that is not my job. I decided to start becoming curious. And when I started becoming curious, then I realized that there are so many different ways to connect to God. And there are so many different types of spiritual practices. And there are people in different places in the world that have spiritual practices that look different from mine. That doesn't mean that theirs are wrong. So, our soul work for this week is for you to ask yourself, where did I learn to fear what my ancestors practiced? And I want you to take a moment to journal about when you said something was bad or was demonic, and ask yourself, was that a fear that you have, or was that something that was given to you? And then I invite you to become curious and ask yourself about that. Do some research to really understand what it means to be connected to God and to be connected to the spirit inside of you. And what I will say is, your spirit will tell you if something feels safe or not. Every spiritual practice is not for everybody. So if it doesn't feel safe to you, okay. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It means that it's unfamiliar. It means that you might have more questions that you need to ask. It means that it might not be right for you, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong. So, what would it look like if we reclaimed our ancestral practices with intention and with discernment? So that is the soul work for the week. Okay. All right. So I added a new segment this week called Frolicking in the Feed, because I was over there on them TikToks. Now, I don't know, I already told you, I don't really be on TikTok. There are so many weeks they give you a report or whatever of how long you've been on there, and they be like, you have been over here 0 hours and 0 minutes. So then if I go over there for any time, it's like, your time is increased by 500%. You were over here for 5 minutes. Relax, TikTok. But anyway, so the other day I was over there on the TikTok because I kept hearing about Cenat and his streamer university. So Cenat, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. It's not Cenat. I think it's Cenat. Cenat. So Cenat, Kaicenat. He is one of the most influential Black streamers that is out there. I believe his primary platform is Twitch, but of course he spills over into TikTok and sometimes Instagram, depending. So he started this streamer university where he brought together other content creators for this real-time immersive masterclass that was comical at times, but also extremely chaotic. Okay. So when I heard about it, I was like, oh, this is interesting, because I believe in using your platforms to be able to build up other people. I believe in collaboration. I think it is extremely important, which is why I'm always talking to other people and trying to build community with people who also live in an online world and who also want a podcast and also want to be able to use their platforms to affect change. I'm always looking for those types of people, because we are the news reporters. We are the ones who are documenting history. We are the ones who are charged with letting people know what was happening, while we were here, especially as they are actively erasing history. So I be going hard about those things, okay? Now, Cenat is someone that I've watched him a little bit. I'm not well versed on him, but I respect what he has built. So he was on Club Shay Shay. And so I got some time to hear Kai talk about how he decided that this was the career path that he wanted to take, and his caregivers supported him in that, and the intentional moves that he made to be able to create this empire, and the types of brand deals that he's gotten, and all that is quite inspirational. And the way that he and his friends came up together. So they do these content houses. And again, they're all on each other's platforms so that they're able to, my audience can find your audience, and your audience find my audience, and we find new audiences, and it's a thing, right? It makes all the sense in the world. So I heard about him doing this streaming university, and I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. So I didn't really look into what he was doing or who he was going to be doing it with, but my assumption was that he was going to have streamers who were trying to get on his level. And he did. He did have some small streamers, but he also had very large streamers and very problematic streamers like DDG. Now, DDG is Holly Bailey's baby's father. So the baby Halo and Holly Bailey, who is Chloe Bailey's sister of Chloe and Holly, and she sings. She was the Little Mermaid. She was Nettie in The Color Purple, right? So Holly Bailey's ex, who she just had to file a restraining order against for domestic violence. He chipped her tooth and left bruises on her and all of this, allegedly. Um, he, DDG, is there at the Streamer University. Okay. And so I started looking up clips and I was like, this is a lot that's going on, like up in here. And I'm talking chaos. I also don't know. So a lot of their lives are very much scripted, right? So I don't know what's really real or what was supposed to be real and what wasn't supposed to be real. And like, I can't really tell. And I'm not that deep off into the world to be able to determine what was. But what landed on me is I found a clip from this small streamer and she shared how she felt because the format is they were having classes. So the classes were being led by the big streamers and then the small streamers are supposed to be learning in those spaces. And then everybody is creating content. So then they were also supposed to intentionally network again so they can be on each other's platforms. And they had roommates. I believe it was at some type of campus and the campus location got leaked. I saw, and then they said people were just outside. So then that was a security issue. And then things were happening with that. The big streamers like DDG wound up taking people off campus and it looks like they weren't supposed to go off campus, but maybe they were. So then they're at the club streaming and like, it was just a lot. When I say chaos, it was a lot of chaos. Okay. But let me elevate what this small streamer said because it really, really sat with me. And I feel like I have a lot of things
So
to
in
say.
class, we don't like the smaller creators. Obviously, we're here to learn. Yeah. And like the bigger creators, I feel like they're here to have a viral moment. I wanted to step up. I wanted to bring this to you because obviously this is very important, and the teachers are saying real shit, and I'm trying to learn. But it feels like the bigger creators, they're just trying to have a viral moment to where the teacher gets distracted, and I'm real like trying to learn. Let me write that down.
So I don't know if Kai is taking this seriously what this girl is saying. But for me, I was like, yeah, that's how I would feel too. So as someone who is a content creator who does not have this mega platform, if I am, and this is how it was marketed, like come and learn and collaborate and all that kind of stuff, right? So if I'm a small creator and I'm getting accepted into Streamer University and I'm so excited because I'm going to get to learn from Kai Cenat and, you know, some of these other people that are there, then when they get into the class environment to be able to learn the actual strategy, people in there acting a fool. I'm talking cutting a fool. DDG was late for his class that he was supposed to teach. And I already told you about all the drama that he was creating around there. Other people, they cussing out the students. Like it was a lot. It was a lot of chaos. And it just really made me feel like, well, I didn't even tell y'all this, a girl got shot in the eye with an Orby gun. Let me find this clip because the girl had to go to the hospital. And again, you can't really tell what's real and what's not. But if this is real, this is a problem. Here we go. So Kai was like the acting principal, if you will. And then there was some other dude who was acting like a guidance counselor and there was a security person and all this. But I want you to imagine, now, you know, I'm a teacher, right? So imagine 20 somethings, there were even some 30 somethings acting like middle school children, not adhering to no kind of guidance, rules, nothing. They sneaking out, they are having food fights, they're fighting in the hallways, they're sneaking into rooms, they're doing everything against whatever they were told to do. Chaos. So then here you are as someone who has come as a small streamer and you're like, I want to learn and this is a lot. this is a lie. I saw another clip of a young man. He was a smaller streamer, and he had called his mama to come and get him. I don't think he left, but he was like, this is a lie. The streamers are the same type of people where they be swatting people, and swatting means that they would call the police and give them your location and say that you're doing something illegal, and then they would show up with the SWAT team. And like, those types of brains were the types of brains that were at Streamer University. And what I need us to know is that great ideas, because this was a great idea in theory, was a great idea in theory. Great ideas need structure and systems because we have to protect people. And when we do not do that, it causes harm. I understand that there are some people who are starkly against having systems in place. And what I need you to understand, that if you decide to have other people involved with your project, you need a system and structure because people's real lives are interacting with what you're building. You have to think about how things might work out in order to be able to have a higher likelihood of that happening. So if I could give Kai some unsolicited advice, if he ever chooses to do Streamer University again, number one, you need to have some real contracts in place where people are accountable for their actions. I'm not sure how the girl is doing with the Orbi. I saw a video where it said she was talking and she said her eye was really, really red. I don't know if that was before the hospital, after the hospital, what have you. But safety is not something that we can play with. And not just physical safety, also psychological safety. There was a lot of bullying that was happening. It was fights that was happening. I'm not coming into no chaotic environment to learn when I have to fear for whether I am safe. So if you're going to have Streamer University, then you need to ensure that it is safe and that the people that are coming have enough frontal lobe developed to be able to adhere to certain guidelines of behaviors. Because without it, it's a free-for-all. And you're just trusting for people to be good people. And I know I keep bringing up DDG. It was this other girl cooking with Kaya. And she like cooks on TikTok. And she got a little song. She be like, cooking with Kaya, cooking with Kaya. And then she turns around and she twerks. She's like, cooking with Kaya. So her and her boyfriend broke up because the boyfriend was there in town with her at the hotel. While she was at the Streamer University, she snuck off campus to go to a club, and then she was twerking on some other dudes, and he watching this on streaming. This is too much going on. So, guys, young people, you're doing the most. You're doing the most, and I'm gonna need y'all to take a step back. So, Kai, you are very influential. And it appears that you are trying to do things that are going to help other people. And also, you need some advisement, my boy. You need some advisement because you are asking for lawsuits. You are asking for things to go wrong. He kept saying he was expelling people and suspending. Again, I don't know if it was real because didn't nobody hardly get expelled. Apparently DDG got expelled and they ended it early from what I hear. But also, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't real at all. But what I do know is that there were people who were really talking on their TikToks and being like, this was a lie. Now, I don't want to make it seem like it was all bad. There were also people who gained a whole lot more followers, people who were able to kind of break through and find their safe space and be able to get exposure and like all of that. That also happened. But we want that to be the thing that people are talking about, not the negative things that have happened because we didn't have the systems and things in place to be able to support people. Okay. So that's what I found while I was out there frolicking in the feed. All right. Okay. So before I land this plane, I wanted to give y'all a giggle break because I told you I was watching that podcast earlier. And one of the things they were talking about was neurodivergence and how one of the girls said, there was so many times that I was in situations that I didn't know that I was in danger. And I realized it afterwards, but I probably shouldn't have done that. So then I was thinking to myself, like, when was I in danger and I didn't know that I was in danger? And I thought back to one of the first times that I realized in the moment that I was in danger, but I had not realized it before. So I'm from New Orleans. One of my best friends, she went to a school And they used to have these things called a jamboree and like weekly football games at Tad Gormley Stadium, okay, which is in City Park. So this is the thing that high schools do. They go to their game and you're really going to watch the band and just, talk to people and, walk around and be cute. So my friend invited me to the game. So we're at the game and the game done happened. We done had halftime, we done had all the fun. Now it's time to go home. So we're outside and it's people all over, parents coming to pick up their kids and just it's stuff. It's outside of a football game. So we're standing there and all of a sudden we hear bat 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 bat, right? So this girl drops to the ground and she was like, "They shooting." And I was like, "She's so silly. That's fireworks, girl." Right? So then we start seeing people running. I'm from New Orleans. Okay. So it is very likely that that's what was happening, and also that's what was happening. So people start running, right? So I'm like, they so silly. That's fireworks. That's not gunshots. So then my friend takes me and she's like, "Bitch, we got to go." So she drags me back into the stadium, right? We running for our life, okay? Because they shooting. I'm still not connecting this. So I'm very much like, this is so funny. I'm laughing. Like she is running for her life while dragging me. Okay. We get back into the stadium because you can't run no more. We had ran all the way into where the seats were. Okay. And in that moment, I said, "They were shooting." She was like, "Bitch, yes." And I was like, "My God, we could have died." Then, and only then did I connect the dots and have a moment of, "Oh, that was bad. Oh my God." And this story describes what my life is like. I do not be knowing what is going on sometimes because I am looking at the world in the way that I look at the world. Why would somebody be shooting at a football game? We're here to play football and watch them play. Like, what is happening right now? It took so long for that to connect in my brain. So now I'm having this delayed reaction of crying and like all of this and actually understanding the gravity of, wait, they were actually shooting while I had spent the past 10 minutes laughing at people who were like, "Yes, girl, they are shooting." So that's my life. And this is why I need to just go to the mountains and be with myself because I just don't understand. I just don't be understanding the things that are happening. And I'm trying to do better with that. So, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I do want to give you an invitation to join my inner circle on Patreon. That is the place for us to be able to comment and reflect on our soul work and have conversations, give voice memos, give vlogs. I did a vlog the other day with a tour of my new apartment, and I'm gonna be doing more vlogs. When I tell y'all, I can't wait to get to this place and rest my nerves. I cannot wait. But I have so much stuff that I need to tell you all. So if you have $5 a month to join the inner circle, please do. If you do not, you do get a 7-day free trial. So I invite you to come over in the free trial and see the things that I've already put up and the things that I will be putting up. For example, my Patreon got the link to be able to record this with me here. And I'm going to do that again from now. So you have the ability to be able to kind of hang out with the behind the scenes stuff, and you have access to me. You can chat, you can ask questions, and you can talk to other people that are there in the community. So again, it is $5 a month to join the inner circle, and you get 7 days free to try it out if you would like. So if you go to patreon.com/minding my black ass business, that is how you will find the Patreon. And of course, I'll put it down in the description box as well. If you cannot afford $5 a month, that is okay. No judgment to you. I still invite you to join the free Patreon because I do put free things through sometimes. And that is the first place usually that I put things. But I also invite you to follow me on all of the things. Okay. So Minding My Black Ass Business on all platforms, at Kimberlyn J on Instagram, KimberlynJackson.com. If you are feeling generous and you want to make a deposit, I greatly appreciate it. Cash App $ Kimberlyn Jackson, Venmo Kimberlyn Jackson. Thank you for all the ways that you are contributing. We are on the way to getting the YouTube page monetized. So I appreciate every single one of you that is here watching. I ask you to choose one more video to watch because that's going to help with the algorithm. Please do like, please do leave a comment, please do subscribe, please do share with someone else that you may feel that might benefit, right? And that's if you laughed at any point, if you had a moment of thoughtful processes at any point, please do share this with the people in your world. Okay. All right. So let me leave you with this. I always like to do some type of outro, benediction, like closing thing. And my closer for today is: reclaiming your power will look like rebellion to those who are still in chains. Take that with you, carry that with you, allow that to resonate in your spirit as you are processing what it looks like for you to show up in your more authentic self. So thank you for joining me here on the Frolicking Truth.
Thank you for listening to the Frolicking Truth, where joy meets justice and our nervous systems get free. Please be sure to like, rate, and comment. Subscribe to the YouTube page, Minding My Black Ass Business, and follow me on all social platforms. Until next time, bye.